We have been following this story throughout the day. Federal officers arrested more than a dozen members tied to the gang known as the Rollin' 60s Neighborhood Crips, though its leader was on the run. Well, within the last 20 minutes, the FBI announcing that man, Eugene Henley Jr., a.k.a. Big U, is now in custody.
In Los Angeles, federal authorities have charged Eugene Henley Jr., also known as Big U, with running a criminal empire in Los Angeles. Henley, 58, was a well-known leader of the Rollin' 60 Crips, an alleged anti-gang activist. However, according to federal prosecutors, he was secretly leading a mafia-like organization involved in murder, extortion, fraud, and other serious crimes. Henley has been in federal custody since March 19th. A grand jury has now indicted him on 43 counts, including racketeering, robbery, tax evasion, embezzlement, and even human trafficking. He is accused of using his music label, Unique Music, and his anti-gang charity, Developing Options, as a front for illegal activities. According to the indictment, Henley's group called the Big U Enterprise operated from 2010 to 2025. He used his reputation as a feared gang leader to intimidate people and businesses. The group committed violent crimes like murder and robbery, but also engaged in financial scams, fraud, and illegal gambling. One of the most shocking accusations is that Henley murdered an aspiring musician, identified as RW, in January 2021. The victim had recorded a diss song insulting Henley. Prosecutors say Henley shot RW, dumped his body in a ditch near Interstate 15 in Las Vegas, and left him there. Henley also allegedly stole money meant for his anti-gang charity. His organization, Developing Options, received donations from celebrities and businesses, as well as funding from the city of Los Angeles. But instead of using the money for good, Henley funneled it into his personal bank account. He even applied for a COVID-19 relief loan for his struggling record label, despite not being eligible for one. Authorities say Henley and his associates used social media, podcasts, and interviews to build a public image that hid their true activities. They spread fear and boosted Henley's fame, making it harder for law enforcement to act against them. Sylvester Robinson, also known as Vay, Mark Martin, also known as Bear Claw, Termaine Ashley Williams, also known as Loose Cannon, Armani Aflea, also known as Monty, Frederick Blanton Jr., Tiffany Shanrika Hines. These individuals are all in federal custody and will be arraigned in court soon. The Justice Department says Henley's arrest is a major step in making Los Angeles safer. Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph McNally stated, "Mr. Henley led a criminal empire that committed murder, extortion, and fraud, stealing from taxpayers and charities." Prosecutors also revealed that Henley tried to flee when law enforcement came for him. On March 19th, he turned off his phone and left his home while his associates were being arrested. Later that day, he posted on Instagram, calling the charges against him unfair and blaming his co-defendants. However, he eventually surrendered to authorities. If convicted, Henley and his associates face long prison sentences. The racketeering charge alone carries a maximum of 20 years. Other charges like bank fraud could add up to 30 years. Charges related to robbery, extortion, and wire fraud each have a maximum of 20 years. Human trafficking carries a 10-year sentence, while tax evasion could result in up to 5 years behind bars. The case is being handled by multiple law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, the IRS, and local police departments. Federal prosecutors Kevin J. Butler and Gina A. McCabe are leading the case against Henley and his group. The rise of Big U. Eugene Henley, also known as Big U, was not just another street gang member. He was a man who had built a powerful reputation in Los Angeles over decades. Originally a high-ranking member of the Rollin' 60s Crips, he eventually gained influence beyond the gang world. He was seen as an OG, a respected figure in the streets. But what made him stand out was his ability to move in both gang culture and the mainstream business world. Henley wasn't just a gang leader. He was also known for his connections in the music industry. He worked with rising rappers, claiming to support young talent. He even ran an anti-gang charity, Developing Options, which was meant to help at-risk youth. But prosecutors now say that this was all a cover for his criminal empire. Behind the scenes, Henley was still deeply involved in gang activity, using his status to control both illegal and legal operations. How Big U Enterprise operated. Prosecutors described the Big U Enterprise as a mafia-style organization. Unlike typical street gangs, which often operate in small groups, this was a structured criminal network. Henley ran the operation like a boss, with different members assigned specific roles. Some were enforcers using violence to intimidate rivals and business owners. Others handled fraud schemes, stealing money through scams and embezzlement. The group even had connections to illegal gambling and prostitution rings. One of the key ways Henley maintained power was through fear. Witnesses say that people were too scared to testify against him. He used his connections in the streets to silence anyone who opposed him. Those who didn't cooperate often disappeared or faced severe consequences. The murder of R.W. The indictment describes how Henley killed an aspiring musician in cold blood. The victim, referred to as R.W., had recorded a song that Henley found disrespectful. Instead of ignoring it, Henley allegedly took matters into his own hands. Prosecutors say he lured R.W. to a meeting, shot him, and then dumped his body in a ditch in Las Vegas. This killing sent a message to others. Disrespecting Big U came with deadly consequences. For years, Henley operated without fear of being caught, but investigators say this was just one of many crimes he committed over the years: fraud and money laundering. Aside from violence, Henley's group was deeply involved in financial crimes. Developing Options, his so-called anti-gang charity, was meant to help young people stay out of trouble. Instead, it became a front for fraud. Celebrities and companies donated large amounts of money, believing it was going toward good causes. But according to prosecutors, Henley pocketed most of the money himself. He also took advantage of government programs. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Henley applied for a relief loan for his music label, Unique Music. His business wasn't eligible, but he managed to get the money anyway. This is just one example of how the Big U Enterprise scammed the system. The fall of Big U. Henley's downfall began when federal agents started piecing together the evidence. Over the years, his crimes had left a trail, and investigators slowly connected the dots. In March 2025, the FBI and other agencies launched a major operation to arrest him and his associates. When law enforcement showed up at his home, Henley tried to escape. He turned off his phones and disappeared for a short time, but he couldn't run for long. Facing overwhelming evidence, he eventually surrendered. Now, Henley and his associates are behind bars, waiting for trial. If convicted, they face decades in prison. Prosecutors say that taking down the Big U Enterprise is a major victory against organized crime in Los Angeles. This case serves as a reminder that crime doesn't pay. No matter how powerful someone may seem, justice eventually catches up with them. The streets of Los Angeles may be a little safer with Big U and his criminal empire taken down. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on Underworld Icons. Click the video above for more.